Derrick Lewis just scored a super quick TKO win over Talison Teixeira, but wow, was that ending messy. Only 35 seconds into the fight and it was all over, and not without drama. The way it ended left a lot of people scratching their heads. It felt weird. Usually, you don't see refs stopping a fight when one guy is still standing, even if he's holding onto the fence for balance. But that's exactly what happened here. After Teixeira got dropped, Lewis followed up with some heavy ground and pound shots. Some of them were blocked, but Teixeira was clinging to the fence like Spider-Man trying to pull himself back up. Now here's the thing, if it wasn't for grabbing that fence, there's a very good chance he wouldn't have been able to stand up. And while Lewis was throwing bombs, the ref, Jason Herzog, decided that was enough and waved it off. At first glance, it did look like an early stoppage. Teixeira looked like he was still in the fight. He was even trying to grab wrist control and turn toward Lewis. But then you start thinking, would he even be there if he didn't grab the fence in the first place? That's where the real issue is. If a fighter cheats, like holding the fence, to survive a finishing moment, should the ref just let it slide? That opens a can of worms. What if a fighter poked an eye or threw a low blow to avoid getting finished? Would we call that a DQ or a TKO? In this case, you could argue that Teixeira didn't defend himself intelligently, and grabbing the fence gave him a big unfair advantage in that moment. So even though it might have looked early, maybe the ref made the right call. You can't reward cheating, even if it's subtle. Honestly, maybe the better option would have been for Herzog to just take a point from Teixeira without stopping the fight. Just let Lewis keep going while deducting a point for the illegal fence grab. That could have cleared up a lot of confusion. Now before the finish, the fight had some really interesting moments. Teixeira came in as the favorite, taller, longer reach, and seen as the more technical striker. He started off with a smart game plan, lots of feints, pumping the jab, trying to make Lewis react so he could counter him, and it seemed to be working. Lewis would back up whenever Teixeira faked something, trying to create space, but as soon as Lewis felt backed up near the fence, he'd just explode forward with a huge right hand to close the distance fast. Teixeira has an 83-inch reach. That's long even for heavyweight, and he tried to use it, pulling away and countering with left hooks whenever Lewis lunged in. From the first few exchanges, it was clear. Teixeira wanted to bait Lewis into overcommitting and then catch him clean. But while the plan made sense, his distance management wasn't always on point. After the first exchange, Teixeira went right back to feinting and jamming, putting Lewis on the back foot again. And of course, this is a Derrick Lewis fight. You just know there's going to be a crazy hopping switch kick at some point. Yeah, he actually tried to head kick a 6'7" guy. Eventually, Lewis lands a few big shots. One jab actually pokes Lewis in the eye. You can see Lewis immediately swiping at it, trying to clear his vision. But Teixeira senses this and turns up the pressure, hoping to take advantage while Lewis is partially blinded. Lewis throws a huge fake, like he's going to blitz with that right hand, and Teixeira backs off for a moment, respecting the power. That gives Lewis a chance to get a bit of breathing room, but Teixeira doesn't let up. He starts pressuring again. And this time, Lewis really lets that right hand fly. Teixeira rolls with the punch, avoiding the full impact. But this time, Lewis doesn't stop there. He follows up, and that's where the exchange gets wild. Teixeira throws a right uppercut as a counter, but it misses. He does block the left hook though. Then Lewis ends his combo with a right hook, also misses, but this is where everything shifts. Usually when an exchange ends, Lewis steps back, resets, and lets the other guy walk him down again. But this time Lewis steps forward instead, and he's off balance from overextending, so he shifts to his side. His left foot rotates inward, classic setup for a left hook. Teixeira, always looking to counter, throws a safe jab instead of something wild. It actually lands flush on Lewis's chin, but it does absolutely nothing. No reaction, like it didn't land at all. That's crazy, especially considering Teixeira is taller and longer. A good jab should stop someone in their tracks, but Lewis just eats it, hops through it, and bam, fires off a lunging left hook that smashes into Teixeira's jaw and drops him. Now here's a question. How did Lewis land that massive left hook while Teixeira was throwing a jab, especially when Teixeira had the reach advantage? There are two big reasons. First, Teixeira's jab wasn't fully extended. His wrist bent as it landed. That cost him a couple inches. Second, Lewis lunged in at an angle. His head was further back, but his body was closer. That allowed his left hook to reach even further. Meanwhile, Teixeira was leaning into his jab, which made his chin more exposed, so Lewis catches him clean and drops him hard. Then he follows up to finish the job. Now here's the part that sparked all the controversy. While Lewis is raining down ground and pound, Teixeira is hanging onto the fence. That's illegal. It's helping him stay up. The ref sees this and decides that's it, and jumps in to stop the fight. Teixeira starts turning toward Lewis right as the ref jumps in, like he was still fighting. He even throws a jab that nearly clips the ref in the head. That's how confused he was. He didn't know it was over. It's possible that Lewis would have finished him anyway. He was about to throw a nasty left hook before the ref jumped in. Who knows if it would have landed, but the intent was clear. Still, you can't ignore that Teixeira was still in the fight, or at least he thought he was. But the fence grab changes everything. It gave him that extra second to recover. And that's why, even though it looked like an early stoppage, the ref might have made the right call in the end. Lewis doesn't care either way. He just wanted to end the fight quickly, and he did. Another big knockout win for the Black Beast. Crazy celebration afterward too. Lewis starts pretending to shoot arrows at Teixeira like he thought he was Alex Pereira or something. Teixeira, for his part, was only in his second UFC fight, and he headlined a fight night card. That's wild. It says a lot about the state of the heavyweight division right now. The fact that Talison Teixeira was ranked and headlining a UFC card in just his second fight shows how thin the heavyweight division really is right now. And that's kind of concerning when you think about it. Derrick Lewis isn't going to be around much longer. He's a fan favorite, a knockout machine, but he's getting older and probably doesn't have many fights left. So this win, while exciting, doesn't really help the division grow in the long run. For Teixeira though, this doesn't have to be the end of anything. This loss, even if it stings, can be a turning point. He still has a lot of room to grow. He's early in his career, still finding his footing. There's potential there. Look at guys like Sergey Pavlovich. He got dominated by Alistair Overeem early in his UFC run, and then turned around and went on a massive win streak. Or think back to when Stipe Miocic got knocked out by Stefan Struve. Nobody thought back then that he'd become the heavyweight GOAT, but he did. Now, that's not to say Teixeira is going to become the next Stipe, but he can bounce back from this. It's only his second UFC fight. He doesn't even have 10 total fights yet in his whole career. There's still a long road ahead. And this loss doesn't define it. Hopefully, Teixeira keeps learning, keeps improving, and becomes one of the top guys in the division. And who knows, maybe one day he'll be a great challenge for someone like Tom Aspinall. Because let's be honest, Aspinall is running through this division right now like it's nothing. He's already taken out half the top 10. It's scary how fast he's rising. And if things keep going this way, there won't be many legit challenges left for him. That's why it's so important for new contenders like Teixeira to rise up. The division needs fresh blood, guys who can pose a real threat, guys who can bring something different to the table. As for Derrick Lewis, what can you even say? He came in, did what he always does. Took some shots, didn't care, threw bombs, and ended it quick. That's why fans love him. That's why he's still here, still headlining, still making moments like this. Say what you want about the stoppage. Early, late, controversial, but the truth is, Lewis was in control. He was winning. He was pressing. And even if the ref hadn't stepped in when he did, it's hard to imagine Teixeira surviving that barrage for much longer. Lewis walked away with another highlight, another knockout, another "did that really just happen?" moment. And for someone like him, that's all he needs. So yeah, a messy ending, a lot of questions, but one thing's for sure. Lewis did what Lewis does. I hope Teixeira learns from this. I hope he gets back to the gym and focuses on improving those small things. His distance control, his defense, his reactions under pressure. Because if he does, he could still become a serious contender in the future. For now, it's Derrick Lewis who walks away the winner, and he did it in true Derrick Lewis fashion. Fast, powerful, and with a wild celebration. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for notifications. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.